Hello all, today I will be talking about bringing home a new hand-fed baby parrot. What needs to be done to ensure a safe transition and a happy and healthy baby. Budgies, loveys, linneys, cockatiels, connors, quakers, and all the rest. I'll go into what to have ready ahead of time and what to do for the first few days, getting them well settled into their new home and their new lives with their new people. I'll also go into what behaviors to expect in the first few days, especially with the smaller budgies, and what can be done to help them. Many people do become alarmed with some of these behaviors, but they are a natural part of the transition process. Then, I'll go into why all this is important and what makes a hand-fed baby so different from those purchased at a pet store. Now, doing everything right will help you to have a happy and healthy baby, one that will grow up to be friendly and companionable and confident and loving. Doing things wrong can lead to sickness and injury and instill negative traits such as fear and distrust. This can affect their behaviors for the rest of their lives. Remember, these hand-fed birds are still babies. They're not the semi-tame or untamed adults or young adults that come from pet stores or are adult rescue rehomings. Being so young and so impressionable, they do need special care. First, what to have prepared. All preparations for bringing home a new baby should be completed ahead of time. A suitably sized cage should be ready and placed adjacent to, but not in the middle of, household activity. The cage should be a full-sized cage, one that will be their permanent home. I have heard some people say that it's good to use a smaller temporary cage for the first few days, but this just means that the baby will be stressed. They will feel confined, without room to retreat if something scares them. This will also mean that they will have to go through another adjustment period when going into their permanent cage. We want to do as few cage moves as possible. Make sure the cage is placed up against the wall to help the baby feel more secure. This gives them a safe space to face away from without the added stress of having to watch their backs. Make sure that food and water dishes are within easy reach of the purchase and do not include too many toys. 1 or 2 will be enough. Make sure that any points of escape from the cage are secured, extra sliding doors are tied down, and the latches work properly. Ensure that there are no environmental hazards such as cold drafts, direct sunlight, or cooking smells. On my Facebook page, you will find my full bird care guide with a large section on toxic hazards. Everything from scented candles to Teflon cookware to toxic foods like avocado and garlic. This is also a good time to bird-proof your home, taking special care of any open doors and windows, uncovered glass, ceiling fans, and any other dangers. I also do recommend having a baby's wings partially clipped for the safety of your bird. This is usually something I do in front of new owners when they're here picking up a baby. This in no way means a full clip where the baby cannot fly. A partial clip leaves the first 2 longest feathers on each wing, then takes the next 3 or 4 and leaves all the ones after. The baby will still be able to fly. They'll still be able to fly just fine, just not as fast. They will still be able to fly up from the floor, fly around the room. They just will not be able to get in the full speed flight that could result in injury or death if they hit an unfamiliar wall or uncovered window. It will take the baby several days to get used to the new wings, and until then, the limited top speed is a good idea. Now, a full clip where a baby cannot achieve flight at all, or just for very short periods, is never a good idea. It is a cruel practice and leads to serious flight, health, and behavior problems as they mature. It's also important to have a good supply of the food that you plan on feeding them. For the first several days, this should only be an appropriate seed mix and some spray millet. The spray millet is important to encourage feeding. All birds love the millet and will start eating that first. For seed, I use Mother Nature's seed mix from Chin Ridge in Alberta, a Canadian-grown product. You can find these seed mixes made specifically for your breed of bird at many stores, including Just for Birds in Langley. It is a good, basic seed mix without any of the added junk food and fillers that many big box store seed mixes do contain. Plus, being a local product and not shipped in from overseas, you know it is fresh. Pellets can be offered after several days, although I no longer use or recommend any brand of pellets. They are a cheap and easy way to provide other nutrients, but remember, they are, after all, an ultra-processed food source. A much better source of nutrients and vitamins can be found by offering your birds chop, at least 3 or 4 times a week, if not daily. Offering chop can be started about 3 or 4 days once they are home. Once you see the babies have settled in and are eating well. Giving it to them too soon can aggravate the inevitable case of the runs that they will get after a move into a new home. Something I'll go more into detail on later. You can find my full chop recipe on my Facebook page as well, and a video on the preparation and feeding will be up here shortly. Ow. Now on to what to do when the baby arrives. Now, when you get home, put your birds in the cage carefully. Make sure that they don't fly off and harm themselves in a panic. You can put the box into a larger cage and open it in there. You can also partially open the box, hold it up to the cage door, and open it the rest of the way facing inside. If needed, you can also slip your hand inside the box, carefully pick the bird up, and transfer it into the cage. It might help to have a light towel handy or a bird net just in case, especially with the squidgy lovebirds. We want to avoid stress here as much as possible. Again, make sure all doors are closed, windows are covered, and ceiling fans turned off before making the transfer. Once the baby is in the cage, it is time to just let them be. They need time to adjust to the new surroundings. No matter how cute they are, how much you want to show them off, or how much the kids want to have them perch on their fingers, let your bird be. For the first day, simply let them get used to having a new cage with all the new sights, sounds, and smells of their new home. By all means, talk to your bird, but keep everyone calm and quiet. Remember, a newly weaned bird is still a baby. By the second day, they might be able to be handled for short periods, once you see them eating and drinking well on their own. Budgies can be especially skittish during this time. They do take a move harder than most birds, and sometimes take a few more days before you see them eating and being active. Once they have settled in a little bit, they can be handled for short periods, 10 minutes at a time, a few times a day, for smaller or more timid birds, half an hour for the more confident conners and quakers. You can slowly increase this time and frequency as days go by. Do this when a bird becomes more settled in and comfortable, and you see them eating with enthusiasm. Budgies especially are often in a state of shock when they arrive in a new home, and you might not see them eat or drink for a day or two as they acclimate. This is normal, and it will pass. Just keep them warm and quiet and stress-free. It is totally understandable for everyone in your family to want to play and spend time with a new baby birdie. Just remember that until this time, the baby has only known one person. They've only been handled by one person in a calm nursery, and have only interacted with other baby birds. Having several people trying to handle the bird, chase the bird around the room if it flies away, being passed from one person to the next, and being handled by understandably excited young children can be very stressful. Even if your new bird seems super friendly and eager to have contact, they are still being stressed and overexcited. If this overexcited condition goes on too long or is induced too often in the first few days, it can lead to injury, illness, and even death. Heart attacks and strokes are possible, as well as panic-induced injuries and stomach upset. An overly stressed bird, one that experiences ongoing stresses without time to recover, might never get over this shock state, never start eating, and literally starve themselves. Are you okay, buddy? No, he's fine. Now, after the first 2 or 3 days, your bird will be much calmer and easier to handle. More timid birds such as parrotlets, lovebirds, and especially hand-fed budgies might require more patience than the more outgoing conners and quakers. But each bird is as different as each family. Sometimes they are super happy and friendly right from day one and love to cuddle and play. Sometimes it can take a few days to a few weeks to get that little cuddly ball of feathers that loves to spend all day on your shoulder pressed into your neck. Patience and routine is the key. Calm and confident handling. And of course, treats always help. A good place to start is simply being around the cage, talking to the bird, feeding them treats from your hand, putting your hand in the cage and having the bird step up. Then letting them out of the cage to fly around. Having the bird step down from your finger onto your arm or shoulder and just spending time together. In the end, it'll all come down to the time that you spend together. Now, on to what behaviors to expect from your baby bird in the first few days. This applies to all breeds to some extent or another, but especially to budgies. It is in these smaller birds that these behaviors will be most evident. Budgies are great pets and in fact are the third most popular pet after dogs and cats. But they do have their challenges. In Australia, where these little guys come from, they are prey birds and still behave as such in our homes. They do tend to be fearful and cautious until they get used to the fact that they are not about to be eaten. This drive for self-preservation presents itself in several different ways that you will be able to observe and have to work with during the first few days. Behavior number 1, the fearful stillness. Not moving, singing, chattering, or doing much of anything. Budgies especially will do this for the first day or two whenever they go through a move. But it is also sometimes seen in other breeds. Often the baby will stay on a perch or even the floor of the cage, completely motionless. They do this to not draw attention to themselves from any potential predators. Best thing to do is just stay out of their way and let them observe the activity in your household. Let them get used to the sights, sounds, and smells that are all new to them. Don't put your hands into the cage if you don't have to, and don't let young children bang on the side of the cage or move it around. Don't take them out to play quite yet, and don't put your face right up to the cage or try to get them to move a little. After a while, you will see that they become more active, less fearful, and more eager to explore and play. Trying to go too fast at this time will just reinforce negative behavior and make it harder to get them to trust in the future. Even hand-fed babies, handled several times a day, will show this fearful behavior at first. The move from the nursery to a new home, away from their clutch mates and all the familiar faces and sounds, can be very traumatic. Having more than one bird, they being so social and having a high flock drive, will help, but it won't completely alleviate this behavior. Most new birds are actually in a state of shock when they go through a move, and will need some time to work things out for themselves. Playing the companionship videos found on my YouTube channel can also help them feel more safe and secure. It can help them with homesickness and loneliness, seeing familiar sights, and hearing familiar background sounds. Second behavior, not eating anything. Will they starve? Now, one of the scarier traits of a new baby is not eating or drinking for the first day or two. Or at least you will not see them eat or drink. But they often will when there is nobody around and all is quiet. Even then, they'll eat only a little bit and even hide the evidence. They do this because eating and drinking puts them in a position that's very vulnerable to attack from predators. And since they're not totally convinced that you aren't a threat, they will eat and drink when you're gone. You can check to see if there are any seed hulls in the food bowl. That will be an indication that they're eating while you're not around. This is why good quality spray millet is important. Spray millet is a great treat for birds, especially budgies, and they just can't help themselves when it is available. For the first 2 or 3 weeks, they can have some every day. The high fat and protein content will encourage them to eat, help them grow, and help them feather up and to adjust. Whew. The third behavior, the poops, the runs, the trots. Yep, babies can get the fear poops. This commonly happens to birds that are under stress, and a move to a new home for a baby is a great amount of stress. Many birds will also shoot out a fear poop when startled. I once dropped a heavy book with a big bang in the main bird room. Everything went completely silent, except for a couple hundred little plops. No panicking, no flapping or screeching, Every bird was completely still with their eyes glued on me. But pretty much every bird had lightened their load, so to say. They know me as their flock leader, and all were waiting for me to give them the all clear. Now, there's not much to do about the poops. You can clean their backsides if it gets caked, and only feed millet and seed. At first, no fruit, veggies, chopped, or other treats, supplements, or pellets. I have never had to deal with the birdie diarrhea lasting longer than a day or two. If it goes on longer, you can give them an electrolyte solution in their water dish. Think Pedialyte or electrolyte powder. And some people swear on a drop or two of kaopectate or Pepto-Bismol in their water. I have never had to do this, so some research or a call to your vet on your end will have to be done. Also, make sure to use stainless steel bowls for food and water, as plastic, stone, resin, and other materials can harbor bacteria. Now, why is all this important? The first few days for your new bird are very important, both for you and your new friend. And special care must be taken to make this transition as easy and low stress as possible. You want to form a good, strong, and healthy bond with your bird based on trust and comfort. Bringing home a hand-fed baby is much different than picking up a bird from a pet store or mass commercial breeder. These pet store birds are usually quite a bit older, or at least it has been longer since they have been weaned. They have been already through quite a lot in terms of travel, and have already learned how to adapt themselves to many different environments in a short period of time. As well, they usually sit and wait in a pet store for quite some time before being purchased, all while being exposed to multiple people looking in at them each day, tapping on the glass, or poking fingers into cages. There are even pet stores around here that keep fully clipped parrots in open-topped aquariums, allowing people to get a good and close look. Those were some very still and very nervous-looking parrots. All this means is that a parrot brought home from a pet store has already been hardened, and as harsh as it seems, the younger or more sensitive ones have already been culled out. I have heard the term acceptable losses several times about large-scale breeding facilities. Now, a hand-fed baby parrot or budgie from a responsible and ethical breeder is very different. They are usually rehomed between 9 and 10 weeks of age, a week after being fully weaned from formula onto solid food. They have spent all their lives in a warm, safe place, getting the best of care. For an ethical breeder, there's no such thing as acceptable losses. Their only move up to now would have been from a brooder into a nearby grow-up cage. They have had the time and contact to get comfortable with the hand feeder and maybe a few other family members. They will have spent the whole of their lives in the company of their clutchmates and the other babies in the nursery. They will not have had the experience of multiple moves, multiple people, or multiple new environments. Because of all this, special care must be taken when bringing a new baby bird home. Well, that's it for today. Hopefully this has answered some questions. But if anybody has any more, let me know in the comments. Remember, when bringing a new baby bird home, keep them quiet, keep them calm, keep them warm, and keep them as stress-free as possible until they have had time to fully settle in and get used to all the new stimuli. A little extra time and consideration right at the beginning will make things much easier later on and result in a happy and healthy and friendly companion bird. See you next time. Okay, that really hurts, buddy. Get off. Okay, you're not an earring. Get off. Come on. Did you bring home a new baby? Ow! Ooh, that hurts. Okay, that's not from you. Don't bite the chubby. Did you just poop on my boot? No. I need those. Okay. Hey, baby's first flight. Right to my shoulder.